Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My reflection for the 8th of October is entitled The Tatty Holidays. September is gone and we are into October already. The last time I was with you was just after the school summer holidays, and now we're into the tatty holidays. The evenings are shorter and there's a nip in the air. How many of you remember getting up in the dark on cold mornings and getting into the back of a lorry or a tractor bogie to be driven off to a tatty field? Frozen feet and hands, but no health and safety then. An experience not to be forgotten. Here are a few of the things I remember of those tatty picking days. Some of you watching will never have experienced this, as of course the fields of tatties are now lifted and sorted by machine. We usually started off the day by popping across the road to Allardyce the baker's for freshly baked rolls. We lived just across the road in the high street. Mum would fill our pieces for us and we'd get all set to walk to the pick-up point. It was a scramble to get into the aforesaid transport, and then we were on our way. My sister and I usually worked for different companies, so we parted company. When we arrived at the farm and it was a new field, there was another scramble to find enough baskets for the day. You usually had to find 2 or 3, and you were in trouble if you picked up somebody else's baskets. If it was a big field, your heart sank, because big fields meant big bits. Now the bits were measured out by the gaffer, and we would watch as the bits were measured out. The length of the field determined the length of the bits, according to how many people were in the squad. You would find your bit after squabbles about who went where, and usually the bits nearest the bottom of the field were given to the married women, from what I can remember. But once that was settled, we were ready to start. However, when the whins which were used to mark out the bits were near us, it was easy to see where one bit started and one finished. But as the whins became a distance away, that was more problematic. Next, we waited for the digger to start at day's work. I liked the scatterer because you didn't get any shaws, whereas the elevator dug up everything and you had to dig about a bit to find the tatties. When the bits were duly picked, the bogie would come round and the men employed to empty the now full baskets lifted them and emptied them into the bogie as if they were no weight at all. There were a few moments' respite, and then the digger would appear again, and backs bent and feet astride the baskets, we were ready to start again. Peacetime was a well-deserved 15 minutes or so, and then it was back to the grind. Lunchtime followed, but I can't remember if we got an afternoon break or not. At finish time, we were allowed to fill a bag with tatties to take home, and it was back on the transport, knowing that we were doing the same all over again the next day. And then it was a weary trudge home. Of course, all this activity depended very much on the weather. If it was raining, the picking was off. And if we had been on the field for a certain time and it started to rain, we were paid for the whole day. But the best part of tatty picking was when we got our wages at the end of the week. To us young kids, we were very well paid, and the money earned was spent on buying winter coats or boots or shoes. Sometimes there was a little bit of money left over that we could spend on ourselves. But I think the whole experience taught a lot of us that we had to work to reap the rewards. We didn't want to hold up the cart and digger by not finishing our bits quickly enough. If a friend was a bit slow, we would help out. Of course, some people were up to all the tricks to stop the digger by fair means or foul. And there was a lot of hijinks went on, and the worst bit was if you were hit by a rotten tatty because you smelt it for the rest of the day. But the news would very quickly find its way along the field that the digger's stuck and that meant a bit of a rest for us all. The most disliked bit for me was the harrowing, where we stood in a long line when the field had been picked to then pick up all the missed tatties still lying. I have heard one comment from somebody who said when they were harrowing, they used to heel the tatties back into the ground so they didn't have to bend down and pick them up. And that was a bit of a cheat. As said previously, we knew that to earn the money, we had to work hard. But did it do us any harm then to eat our pieces without running water to wash our hands before snacks or lunch, or before other necessary needs, which I will not go into? But I don't think so. In Angus, it was a way of life during the tatty holidays. We didn't wait for someone to find us a job. We had to go and find it ourselves. The Bible says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you." And I think that's a great message for everyone today. But here's part of a poem written about tatty picking in Angus that I found, but I don't know the author of the poem, and I'm not reading the whole poem, just little bits here and there. I mind the year in Angus long ago, when we were sent to pick where tatties grow. The air was keen, the sky a frosty grey. We left our school books for a different way. We followed drills behind a plough. We howked, our fingers red and stained and earth imbrued. The talk was all of fortunes, what we'd earn, a new bike maybe, or a lesson to be learned. The years have passed, the tatties are all gone, but still I hear the old familiar song, the feel of earth, the camaradary's cheer, the Angus harvest brings the old days near. Thank you for listening. Bye. See you next time.